Hey, welcome back to the Disney Plus Everyday Challenge. Today we have Inspector Gadget 2. Yeah, this was a sequel to the original from 1999. This is from 2003. It's an hour and a half long, and that's not Matthew Broderick, as you probably already figured out. This sequel, 4 years later, apparently was not enough to bring back pretty much any of the cast. Even though I think the original was somewhat of a hit, uh, this one, not so much. Uh, I think pretty much everybody's been replaced except for D.L. Hewley, who doesn't have to show his face in the film. He just does the voice of the car, so the talking car. And this honestly seems to be like a showcase for digital effects companies to go, look, we can do 3D special effects and animation just like that George Lucas ILM people can do in the Star Wars movies that he's making right about now, the prequels at the time. Um, and yeah, there's no little bit of it, this type of movie, this type of story, this type of character lends itself to much more animated type of effects, cartoonish effects. There's no attempt to make any of the things he's doing look like it's real life, like it's actually there in the same frame as him. You know that every single time a gadget pops out of his hat or out of his arms or whatever is pretty much, it's a special effect. There's no, oh, how did they do that? It looks so real. There's none of that. It's everything's so brightly colored, and I guess it's meant. This movie is not made for somebody my age. Even almost 18 years ago, it was not made for somebody my age. It is definitely for little kids who probably love the cartoon, and I've seen my share of the cartoon myself. I know all the characters, the main characters. Between Penny and Brain and Inspector Gadget. Well, and the police chief and everybody else. And Claw, of course. Claw is the main villain once again. And we get to see parts of his face throughout because again he was always sitting in a chair in a rough gravelly voice petting a cat kind of situation. Very Bond villain type of inspiration. Of course, what was that Bond villain? I walked right into that. My brain will not work, but you know what I'm talking about. Either way, uh, like I said, everybody has been replaced. You'll see this is French Stewart. French Stewart has done a ton of stuff, mostly comedy. He's done some his share of dramas, but mostly comedy. What he's best known for, which kind of brought him into the mainstream, is Third Rock from the Sun, from the '90s, I believe. Joseph Gordon-Levitt as a little boy with long hair, and John Lithgow as their leader, their alien leader, tasked with living amongst the humans in human form, and they were all super weird. And French Stewart had the job of being the weirdest out of all of them, and he's so good. It's just that squinty voice, squinty eyes and voice, and just all the stuff he did. Pretty much whenever he was on camera, he was like a living cartoon, and he lives this out in Inspector Gadget as well. He is part of the time. Anytime he's not delivering a line directly to the camera, for the most part, he's digitally redone. His head bobbles around as bad guys punch him, and his head's on a spring, and his hat has all sorts of contraptions that shoot out of it. And some of it's practical-ish, but for the most part, it's all really dated 2003 era, not ILM level digital effects. So I can't crap on it for being what it is in that era. I mean, it was kind of astounding in that time, maybe, but yeah, it hasn't aged well. It all looks very rough. But hey, it's technology's going to advance and change, and we're so used to seeing lifelike characters in video games, much less movies and television shows, uh, than we see in all this stuff. I've seen Eternals twice already, and there's more realistic looking alien type creatures that you might believe are standing right there amongst Salma Hayek and Richard Madden and everybody else than you would most other things in other films. So yeah, they effects have changed. Anyway, we have Penny, who's also been replaced. It's no longer Michelle Trachtenberg. At this point in 2003, she was finishing up the final season of Buffy the Vampire Slayer as Sarah Michelle Gellar as Buffy's little sister. So we get Caitlin Wachs. I'm not really sure what else I've seen her in. But we also get Bruce Spencer as Baxter, who's kind of the mad scientist behind the whole the Gadget program. And this guy is well cast. He looks like a mad scientist. He is just kind of perfect in his depiction of that character. But the whole point of this story is very much, hey, it's a sequel, and what do you get in the sequel? You get an upgrade. Well, Gadget's a little bit obsessive about crime, and ever since he defeated Claw, all the bad guys have gone away, and he's down to pulling over little old ladies for going 0.3 of a mile an hour over the 25-mile-per-hour speed limit, just for kicks, because he's bored for the most part. And he's super glitchy. Anytime he tries something, he asks for a go-go gadget, whatever, something else comes out that he wasn't expecting, usually messing up anything he tries to do. So he's on the police force, but for the most part, he's an annoyance. Well, they got plans for, once Claw, by the way, I'm going to spoil a little bit of this. It's not like you can't, I could probably say, hey, Inspector Gadget 2, tell me what happens in it, and you can probably tell me without ever seeing it what happens in it. Claw breaks out of prison, and so that bumps up the schedule, so they bring out a new gadget. In this case, it's female. It's not human in any way, but it looks human. She's awful pretty. She's played by Elaine Hendricks. She was kind of the... how do I put this? She was the pretty girlfriend of the dad in the Lindsay Lohan Parent Trap movie. So, hey, dad can't get back together with mom, and because he's with another young lover. Let's just say that. She played the young lover. And, so it's all very exciting. And she's very much robotic in this, and a brunette. And she is so much more capable. All the improvements are there. There's no glitches. And, of course, upon immediately seeing her, Gadget is taken with her. He's half human. He sees a beautiful one. Why not? And sees someone who's something like him, but who is not human at all. So he falls in love with a robot immediately. A beautiful robot immediately. And her name is just G2. They don't even bother giving her a name. I realize Inspector Gadget, I don't know if he has a name. It's like Gary Gadget. I don't think he has a name anymore. But I think Matthew Broderick's character in the first film had a name, didn't he? Or was that part of the bit? I don't know. Either way, she's essentially nameless. She's just G2. And, well, he wants to work with her, obviously, because he's kind of smitten with her immediately, but she becomes a bit of a rival and a replacement for him when he's pretty much incompetent and she can get the job done. Of course, the most competent out of everybody in the film is Penny, but she's pushed to the side as, she's just a kid. What is she, 12 or something? Get out of the way. You and Brain can't, you're just going to get in the way. But I know stuff, and that's pretty much the whole premise behind this film that would kind of appeal to kids, where kids might feel like, hey, I've been dismissed. I know stuff, and I want to do the right thing. I want to help out. And kids might feel dismissed by adults, might really connect with Penny. It's understandable. It's one of the more relatable plot points in all this, because the rest of it is honestly a live-action cartoon. It's just lots of loud slapstick and just horrible dialogue and clunky action and very much overly done digital effects over top of what's actually happening on screen. It's silly, it's goofy, it's it's difficult. And D.L. Hewley, I think, God bless him, he's a talking car, and he gets to say cliche lines just to fill in space between other lines. And whenever, I mean, his car, he's a talking car who can do all sorts of crap. He's technically on the same level as any of the inspector droids, androids, or he's an Inspector Gadget's a cyborg technically, and G2 is a full android. He's the Gadget Mobile is technically another robot. He's just in the shape of a car, except he can change and do all sorts of stuff. I don't see why he's seen as kind of a servant. I think we gotta. There's something really messed up with that. Just because he looks like a car, why isn't he given the same level of credit? Admittedly, he does very little, even though he probably has the most important abilities or useful abilities out of all the mechanical creatures in this thing. You know, what are you gonna do? As for Claw and his minions are predictably goofy and not threatening at all, except when they, grab a hold of Penny and kidnap her and kind of treat her kind of rough. It's kind of a little unsettling. But again, they're all very cartoonish. I can't remember if the main henchmen were based off of the looks of henchmen in the cartoon or not, but it's not something I really wanted to bother inspecting. Uh, so, actually, one of the most things I do enjoy the most in this is the fact that Claw, once he escapes, sets up shop in a bowling factory of all places. I don't know why. I don't. Maybe there's a joke I'm missing. But the practical set itself looks pretty cool. The aesthetic and what they use to, they eventually make a weapon that looks like a bowling pin. There's all sorts of little elements in that set, and just the setting. I know I'm saying set way too much, but that general spot where a lot of the bad guy stuff happens is actually kind of cool. It kind of looks neat. I can appreciate that set design. So I used to bowl a lot. I haven't bowled in a while, but that has nothing to do with anything. But at least in that case, it makes sense. So it doesn't make nothing makes sense in this film. Sorry, it's one of the most appealing parts of the film, because everything else is just bad lines, and goofy effects. And French Stewart, he is made for physical comedy. He has proved that many times over. So he's great in the role, but it's not a great role. So you can only do so much with this. I think if they would remake this thing again today, it'd probably be grittier. I don't know, or the cartoonish effect, gadgets and stuff might be more practical. With still some digital stuff, but it would be done really differently. I think. I hope they. I know somebody's going to dig back into this IP and they're going to try to make another Inspector Gadget film at some point, or they'll make a. Did they make a 3D animated one or not? I mean, that's probably the best route to take if you're going to do that. Do the 3D animated one if they haven't already, and take it from there. Because nobody needs to do a live action version of this again. No, just don't. I'm telling you right now, Disney, don't. It's one of the other things I kind of appreciated about this, which is awful, is product placement. At one point he has to put batteries in his arm, and they're just focused in on the Duracells or whatever it was, Energizer batteries. I can't remember which one it was, but he's putting very clearly the label of batteries in his arm, and it sucks that I can't remember which one it was, but it was a major brand. And but the biggest product placement, which is so clunkily done, is McDonald's. McDonald's was a big sponsor of this film. So there's a point where they're at a science fair, at a convention. They make a Star Trek nerd joke. D.L. Hewley does. Like, tell us if you see anything strange. You mean like a Star Trek A Star Trek fan with a girlfriend? Yay! And everybody at the science fair is super, super, super ultra nerdy cliche. They all have horn rimmed glasses with tape, and they're just, I'm so nerdy. Ugh, it's like, whatever you do, kids, don't end up like these people and understand or enjoy science. It just, you don't want to look like those people. It's it's a real punch in the face, I think, to anybody who would want to pursue something like that would find any kind of joy in learning and being smart and innovating. Yeah, it's kind of just that sucks that they did that. But in the food court at the science fair, uh, Gadget literally faces the camera after getting some food, and he holds like the fries box of French fries perfectly arranged with the red box with the yellow arches just right there center frame. Hey, check out the like without saying McDonald's or anything else. There's a McDonald's sign behind him. He's holding a big cup with the McDonald's logo, and it's all carefully carried to the center of the frame. So you're like, I could go for some McDonald's right about now. It's it's so cringily done, and they go back to that scene a few times, and there's one point where he does some of his best physical comedy moments with this, where he tries to drink from the thing and he just starts shaking and everything starts going everywhere, and so yeah, it's one of the actual funny physical comedy moments, and it's has a humongous tie-in, so that's kind of obnoxious as it is. But yeah, anyway, it's this is not a great movie by any means. But if you, I mean, honestly, if you grew up with it, if you loved the cartoons as a kid, this may turn you off from ever looking at another Inspector Gadget thing ever again, or you might appreciate it the way most people can, like I can't. I've seen my share, but not enough to go, oh my gosh, this is a thing I need to see. I certainly never saw it in theaters, so this is my first time and my last time watching Inspector Gadget 2. Sorry, French. I love you, but this is not a great movie. So, anyway, let's pick tomorrow's episode.
165.
165. 165. What do we got? That's. Come on. Oh, okay. You know what? I've been actually wanting to watch this for a very long time. It just I don't know. It's escaped me. I wanted to see it in the theaters. Never happened. But finally gonna watch it. It's Wes Anderson doing stop motion animation. This is a fantastic Mr. Fox. So yeah, come back tomorrow with the fantastic Mr. Fox on the Disney Plus Everyday Challenge. I'll see you then.